Let's further discuss this now with Tahani Mustafa, who is a Palestine analyst at the International Crisis Group. Tahani, it's good to see you. Thank you for being with us here on TRT World. We've witnessed the worst of Israeli settler violence in occupied Palestine in recent time, with the West unable to stop those attacks taking place by the illegal Israeli settlers, despite, the sanctions that they said that they would have imposed on those settlers.
I think when we talk about the West not being able to stop those attacks, I think that's a misclassification here. It's not that they're not able to stop those attacks, it's that there hasn't been enough or any significant pressure on the Israeli government. There's an entire system that abets settler violence in the West Bank. So this isn't just a matter of placing sanctions on a few individual settlers. This goes well beyond just a few individual settlers. There's an entire system that supports them and abets them. It goes down all the way from the police that refuse to intervene when Palestinians try and report these cases, that refuse to investigate when these cases are reported, to an entire court system that refuses to prosecute. These settlers that are the ones that are currently committing violations on the ground are repeat offenders. They are very well known to the Israeli government and, by the way, to Israel's Western allies. Now, settler violence, that's been a phenomenon that the international community have been grappling to deal with, and that has been quite an obstruction when it comes to things like a diplomatic solution or a two-state solution. Settler violence has been a phenomenon that they haven't been able to rein in. They haven't been able to get the Israeli government to rein in, because the Israeli government is so deeply complicit. And now, as your correspondent mentioned, you also now have settlers who are in quite high-ranking positions. Ben-Gvir, he himself is a settler. He himself has been largely responsible since the 7th of October, by the way, of easing gun licensing regulations, where something like, I think in the first month after the 7th of October, you had 120,000 licenses that were applied for, that were approved. You had a significant number of settlers that were armed after the first month of the 7th of October, and that month in itself had been some of the highest incidences reported in quite a while. Now, just bear in mind that before the 7th of October, we were dealing with something like 194 cases of settler violence a day in the West Bank. Before the 7th of October. That number has more than tripled since.
Right, it has significantly increased, as you mentioned there, and figures like Ben-Gvir has played a significant role in arming illegal Israeli settlers and has contributed to that increase of violence there. Just give us a sense, though, of why we're seeing it significantly increase in recent time, particularly after the October 7 attacks and it coinciding with Israel's indiscriminate bombing campaign in Gaza.
There are a number of factors for why settler violence has increased over the last couple of years. Israeli society in and of itself has moved more and more to the extreme right. This isn't something that simply starts and ends with Netanyahu or his government. You do have an incredibly extremist sentiment, problematic sentiments within Israeli society itself. Settlers themselves have tripled since the Oslo Accords. From the signing of the Accords, we had something like 150,000 settlers. Today, that number is 750,000. You're talking about 300 settler outposts in the West Bank alone that are subject to complete impunity. They are subject to very different laws. They have their own infrastructure, separate roads. They are not effectively controlled by any law. If anything, as I said, this is an entire system that abets them. When we see continuous pogroms, what the international community itself describes as pogroms, these are not just settlers, by the way. These are soldiers that will block every entrance and exit points of those roads, allowing settlers to rampage in while they kettle Palestinian communities. Oftentimes, you'll have the soldiers themselves denying access to first responders to attend to the injured.
We have also seen the Israeli military play a significant role in the illegal Israeli settler violence in occupied Palestine. Tahani Mustafa, unfortunately, that's all the time I have left. But thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour. I appreciate it.